How's
How's
it
it
going,
going,
Kelly?
Rob? Good.
Oh, look, we both talked at the same time. We're getting better though. It's okay. Hey, we curled today. We threw some rocks for the first time since March.
I know. How did it feel?
I'll be feeling it a lot, I think, in 2 days. It was going okay, but then I had to stand up.
For sure, same here. Like it felt good and nice to be back on the ice and somewhat normal. But yeah, definitely feeling it in the thighs quite a bit now.
And curling with a mask the whole time was a little interesting.
Definitely. I don't know how we're gonna do it playing a full game in them. That's definitely gonna take some getting used to.
Okay, I've got a really important question for you. It's a really personal question.
Another important question.
Do you swath or straight cut your canola?
I knew you were gonna ask that question.
Well, of course, it's the most important question any curler can get.
It is. Well, especially me living in the middle of a city, these are like really important things that I have to think about. But I'm more of a swath person versus straight cut.
You're kidding. All
I'm
these
not
years,
kidding.
you're a swather.
I mean, it took me a little back and forth. I really had to ponder this question. But I settled on swath.
I'm straight cut all the way.
Oh
I don't think
no.
we can be friends.
Jeez, we might have to do a whole another podcast breakup again.
I know this is 2 episodes in a row where we've it's a good thing we're we're, we're almost coming to blows.
Oh dear. So, in case you don't follow or watch curling in Canada, this is a reference to some very famous curling commercials that get played all the time. And that brings us into the theme of today's episode, which is all about curling commercials. And surprisingly, we have a lot of things to say about them.
How many years have we been watching curling? Decades, and all of the commercials that have piled up that are permanently etched on our brain.
Every year, there's maybe, what, 5 curling commercials that are produced, and it's the same ones played over and over and over again. So you really get to memorize and learn about the commercial and the product.
That's right. We can recite a lot of them. A lot of them from maybe even like
Yeah,
20
even
years
if
ago.
these commercials are not related to us and serve no purpose to us.
So canola farming appears to be a big thing in this country, or so it would appear when you're watching curling.
Speaks a lot to the curling demographic in Canada. And before we really get into the meat of this episode, I just want to preface this that we are not sponsored by any of these companies at all.
And we're not likely to be after we start talking about them.
Should we get right into talking about New Holland and Pioneer?
I think that's a
'Cause
good
I
place
think
to
that's
start.
like the one of the most common commercials that we see.
I don't know if you have the same experience as I do. For me, they all blend together. I just see tractors and then I start thinking about sclerotinia and clubroot and swathing or
I
straight
actually
cutting.
Googled what clubroot and sclerotinia are, except I'm not too sure about sclerotinia because, or maybe I was searching for something else that has a similar spelling, but the only thing that I can find about that was coral.
Really? I remember I have a little garden on my balcony and my mom was telling me that watch out, your tomatoes could contract
Really?
sclerotinia. And I thought she was joking, but no, she actually found an article that said but I don't know what it is either. I
Oh,
once
well,
knew
I
and I
put it
forgot.
according to Wikipedia, it's like a type of coral. So I don't know
Oh,
how
okay.
that has to do with farming or how it gets into like a canola field, but the other thing, clubroot, that's like a disease that apparently affects a lot of like cabbage, broccoli, like and Brussels sprouts type of crop.
Oh, maybe it was clubroot then that was affecting my garden.
Clubroot made its appearance in Canada in back in 2003. There was an infestation in Alberta on all the canola farms, mostly concentrated in Edmonton. And you know
I
what
see.
else is in Edmonton? This Curling Saville Center,
What's that?
the National Training Center for Curling. So it really goes hand in hand here.
Are you starting a
There
conspiracy
could
theory?
be, this could be something. It might require a little more investigation.
Quick aside, because I think this is important. It's that remember back in the spring, early on in the shutdown, there was all this online curling that people were playing. There were
Oh, like
online
the
tournaments
online
with
game?
Play Curling, I
Mhm.
think it was the website. Yeah, where you and so we tried it briefly, and of course our usernames were Sclerotinia, and I think you were Clubroot Girl.
I didn't play much. Yeah, there was a lot of tournaments going around, or yeah, there was some tournaments going around, but I did not participate. It's not the same as a real game. Yeah, so another point on New Holland. So this was a new commercial that came out last year, and it's the one
Oh, I know what this
where
is.
it's like a bunch of country singers going,
Let's get the guitar
"Da-da-da,
out.
it's how I was born and raised. Do, 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 do."
Oh,
It's really catchy. I kind of like it. But really,
I
well,
never did.
you're not a country
I'm not a
guy.
co no, country
Okay,
just doesn't
well,
no.
I think the country listeners will disagree with you because this band is a real band called the Hunter Brothers from Southwest Saskatchewan, and they're all related. Um, the the
I
real
guess that
brothers, but they've actually had quite some
okay.
success in the Canadian, like, country music scene. And they already have, 2 albums out, and that song, "Born and Raised," that's in the commercial, actually earned them their first top 10 spot in the country like, on the country Canadian radio charts. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Go
and,
figure.
they were also nominated for is it a Juno Award? Like, the Canadian music like, the Canadian version of the yeah,
Canadian
version of
Music
the
Awards,
Grammys,
yeah.
and the Canadian Country Music Awards, the CCMAs. They've had a couple nominations,
Wow.
and, yeah, so I kinda stalked them a little bit on Spotify and whatnot, and it's quite country pop, but, some of their songs were pretty catchy and were not, that bad.
Very interesting. So there is opportunity for growth in
Exactly.
sponsoring
I mean, I
curling.
don't know if they or if they're real curlers though, or if they're just affiliated with New Holland because they're also farmers.
I wonder. But yeah, I remember going around back in winter whenever those ads were on and just looking at people's shoes. Mud on your shoes, I wouldn't change a thing. Or however it goes, something
Yeah,
like
some
that,
I
right?
don't know, I don't have all the lyrics right here, but I think after this, after our recording, we can go, listen to it, add it on my country music playlist. Let's say a lot of the curling commercials aren't the most exciting, they're far from being, like, Super Bowl commercials or anything. So adding this type of music
No, they tend to be pretty
very low
low
budget.
budget.
So I think, yeah, this is, a step in the right direction, I think. I can use, some more curling commercials with music in it. Maybe they could just diversify the genre a little.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at my list trying to like find something to add to that and
No?
ooh, no.
Well, I mean, if you go to the Briar Patch or something, you'd always have country music bands playing, especially if,
That's right.
the Briar is in swift current.
That time that we went to the Briar, I think the or Tournament of Hearts, the Briar Patch was across town. I think that was in Kingston.
Yeah,
It felt like it was in Swift Current. We had to get on a bus to go there.
that's true. Well, you know what? Anything outside of Vancouver, Toronto, or Montreal feels like you're in the middle of nowhere.
So here's maybe here's one we can bring up. Because we're talking about the Tournament of Hearts and Briar and how Curling Canada or Canadian Curling Association, whatever they were
Oh,
called
the
back then,
CCA?
has to market themselves and try to get people to actually go to these events. And they've had a few interesting ads to try and get people to actually go to these things. Some names come to mind, like Johnny the Hammer Chow.
Alex the Hack Marchand.
Remember Angus McStone?
Oh, yeah. But
Really
was Angus
stereotypical. What's this time portal? I'm in modern Canada, curling, drinking barley nectar.
was he was he from Curling Canada? Or was he another
Yes, that was
brand?
no, that was a CCA or Curling Canada ad campaign trying to get
Oh.
you to go to buy Briar tickets.
Oh, I
And I'm
see.
sorry, Curling Canada, quick rant here. I'd love to, but it's across the country. And when it was nearby, what did we pay to go to see a draw at the trials? It was like $40 a ticket
It was expensive. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I dropped $200 that weekend just
just
to,
to see the
like
weekend draws. Yeah, it was
yeah.
not cheap. And I wanted to go see these things, but I'm sorry, Angus. Unless I can get free barley nectar,
Well, already your plane ticket is gonna cost you over $500 minimum, plus, like, room and board and all that stuff. It's, it's not cheap if you're a really big
No.
curling fan and want to go to all these big tournaments.
And there were a few of these ads with these characters, and I just have to bring this up with this Angus guy. Do you remember the one where I think there's somebody folding laundry, and this big time portal opens up in front of them, and Angus steps out, and he's like, "Oh, you smell like old haggis," or something really stupid and stereotypical like that. And then the most unenthusiastic Kevin Cooey pops out and like sweeps the laundry off the table and just goes, hurry hard.
Actually, I think that was an enthusiastic Kevin Cooey.
Or sorry, yes, the most
The most,
enthusiastic.
I mean, he turned it up for that commercial. Yeah, I
I
remember
know.
that.
You could feel the hatred in his eyes of like, why did I almost should have lost the Briar. They never would have made me appear in this commercial if I'd thrown the final.
That's the thing when you win titles, it's like you're forced to be on these commercials. I hope you got paid enough to make it worth his time.
I hope so. There was one with Chelsea Carey too, leaping through a portal with her
Oh,
broom and
isn't that the one though with they had it was like a newscaster, like kind of like Sportsnet sports recap, and they're
oh
like,
yeah,
"Tell
yeah.
us,
That was
Carrie, how do you feel close to the fans on the ice?"
and then somebody drops through the ceiling.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
more recent. That was, I
Yeah.
think, after they shelled, Angus.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's like what, 1 or 2 years old,
I
and
think that was maybe even, like, this past season maybe,
yeah,
like, that one seems fresh.
Yeah, and Kevin Cooey was on, he had one as well. Again, he was overly thrilled in that commercial.
And I gotta bring back, our old friend who we did meet once, Johnny the Hammer Chow.
Yeah, yeah, he's well, all these people, there was also, Mary Bullseye
Bullseye
Dobbin.
Dobbin.
Yeah, all those people, they're actual real curlers too. So, it's not like because
That's right.
you can tell some of these curling commercials are made by people in marketing, or wherever in these big companies who clearly never curled before, and it's just, like, just so bad. But these ones are actually thoughtful and, like, played into those curling club stereotypes that we've all experienced.
And I think also it aligns with my vision anyway of what the sport should be about, which is, yes, go win a toaster off the raffle table and,
Yeah.
travel to a town you've never heard of, and
Mary the Bullseye Dobbin, got her team, found, like, a girl from her yoga class, and then her neighbor's boyfriend's sister's cousin.
which is what we go through when we try to find spares on Thursday night.
Yeah, or there's another line too where it's like, "Alex the Hack Marchand made a double takeout on purpose."
Yes, except that was flawed because if you watch Alex slide, oh yes, and he explains to his boss what sweeping does,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they play off that he's like this new curler, and you're like, no, you've been doing this for years. Look at your delivery;
Your
it's so good.
technique is too good, yeah.
Yeah,
But no, I thought it was really great and, a great campaign to get, like, more people involved and want to start curling.
me too. That was my favorite, and I really didn't like how they got rid of it and replaced it with this Scottish stereotype holding this big torch saying, "Get into the stadium, go see curling." I don't know, just it seemed ridiculous to me. I think people that I don't think anybody that's on the fence as to, maybe this big curling tournament's coming to town. Maybe I should go see it. I don't think anybody on the fence was roped in by this.
First of all, if they see it, they'll just be like, "What is this weird sport?"
They'll be like, what? What was
And
that?
even then they're like, "Briar, what is this?" And then they're like, "I
Yeah,
have to pay $50 to go watch a game?" No, thank you. No, but I think they should bring those back. I'd be happy to see them, again.
me too. I'd like to know what Johnny's up to now.
We should try and get him on the podcast.
That would be cool. Now I'll go off topic for a moment here. I remember a few years ago at the height of the Johnny the Hammer Chow thing, I actually commented something to Curling Canada on their Facebook page, and I thought I was clever.
Whoa, Facebook, was this like 10 years ago?
Like 5 minutes? No, I'm kidding. It was a while ago. It was back when they were pitching relegation, right? Like,
Where
what a
everyone
great idea!
hated?
Oh, what a great idea! Let's
Yeah.
have a Briar without Saskatchewan, or let. It was
And then
awful.
have team wildcard.
Yeah, I hated the idea of getting rid of a province, and it
Mm.
was,
Well, that's why they canned it after one Olympic
yeah,
cycle.
it was super unpopular. And I remember they were really pushing it through, even though everybody seemed to hate it. And they had some ad campaign on their Facebook page where they were like, they were showing pictures of Johnny the Hammer Chow, and he had with his toaster, and they were saying, comment below, what would you like to see Johnny do next? And all these people are commenting. They're just getting right in line with Curling Canada. Like, oh, I would love to see Johnny make a double takeout. Oh, I would love to see him win something else to go with his toaster. And I wrote a comment, and I wrote, I hope Johnny doesn't live in a province that's been relegated. And I thought it was the nice mix of kind of funny, kind of condescending.
Yeah, a
And
little
I
sarcasm.
yeah, and the comments that were like that were saying I want him to get another toaster had like 30 likes, and then I go back, mine has 0 likes, and then it got deleted.
Oh no.
Do not criticize
Oh,
Curling Canada.
you got blocked by Curling
I may have.
Canada. Although, instead of a toaster, I'm surprised that he didn't go for the soapstone because those are really popular at any tournament, right?
That's right. I have a collection of them up above my kitchen of soapstones that we have won.
I know I have a walrus one sitting on my like TV stand,
Nice. They last longer than those glasses that we win.
or like the beer steins that are made out of metal. And even I tried drinking out of one, and it just tastes like metal. Your beer has a metal
Yeah, it's
aftertaste.
purely decorative.
So yeah, I've switched to the soapstones, and they're actually they're pretty valuable. Like they're not
So
cheap.
I hear.
Okay, I have another commercial to talk about.
Go ahead.
This one is, I don't think it played on TV. I think it was more of like a YouTube thing, but it was still an ad placement.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
Again, from my favorite team.
I knew it.
And this is Team Ulcer's commercial for Comfy Balls, who are one of their main sponsors. And in this commercial, again, this I think came out at the height of their like crazy pants thing where they just started using them. And then in this commercial, they're doing like I don't know what it was called, but I'll call it the pants challenge, where they're all standing in a line with their pants down to their ankles, like the crazy pants. And then you have this classic rock music playing in the background. And then they all like the challenge was to put your pants on without using your arms, like your hands. So they're like twisting their bodies and like bending their
I
legs, kind of
remember
like
that.
dancing to get their pants on. And yeah,
And
it
they were
was
on
great.
ice. They were on
They were
ice.
on it. Yeah, they were using their curling shoes, and then they had like segments where it's just them alone. Like it was a great. I mean, these guys are. I mean, they should be used for every curling commercial. Like I would buy anything that they're sponsoring.
Oh, I do remember that now that you mention it.
Yeah, so I think that's up there with one of the best curling commercials.
Yes, we have to say the bar is not set very high by a lot of them, though.
That's true. Yeah, so staying on the international curling commercials, I don't actually remember what the commercial was for. If it maybe just was like curling, like just a regular curling promotion commercial. But remember the video of Annette Norberg's team from Sweden and the Hearts on Fire song?
No.
What?
I'm not
Hammer
just saying that. I'm actually honest. I don't know about this.
Are you Rob? Rob, come on. Everyone knew this song. Everyone, everywhere we went, like they're all like, "Oh, have you seen this video?" And it was a bunch of heavy metal, like it was a heavy metal band, like a Swedish heavy metal band playing hurling against Annette Norberg's team, and they're like, "Hearts on fire, hearts on fire."
This is news to me.
Rob, Rob, I'm really disappointed
I know.
in you. Hold on, let me find it.
That's what you get for swathing.
Oh, come on. I mean, this came out 9 years ago.
Yeah, so how did I miss this?
Like, this
Were
was
you...
so popular. Oh, I can't believe you don't remember this.
I
This is
don't.
like every curling, like, I remember every curling camp I went to, they played this, and then everyone talked about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the heavy metal band." And this is when Annette Norberg was like dominating the women's curling scene.
Okay, but wait a minute. You were traveling all over the world back then, right? I How big was
Yeah,
this
but this
here?
was big in Canada as well.
Okay, I guess so.
Oh, unless I'm
I
not
wouldn't
remembering it
know.
correctly, but this was like at one point I was just like, I'm so sick of this song. Like I've heard it like so many times. Okay, we're
Okay.
gonna have to ask our curling friends if they remember this
Yes, or our listeners. I
or our
maintain
listeners.
I maintain it's not as popular as
I mean, this would have, yeah, this song is probably from like 2008, 9, 10 ish.
Okay.
Um, but oh my God, I am so surprised that you don't remember
Maybe I
this.
think must have seen it, but because it's not a commercial, all I can think about are toilet
Yeah,
paper and New
right.
Holland and
I mean, this was the born and raised song of 2010.
oh, okay. I think I might have, you know what? I'll forget about the Born and Raised song, I think, in a few years. It'll be like a distant memory. And
Mm,
so
that's true. Until the next song comes.
until the next one.
So what's the next one on your list?
Okay. So, I want to say this is a really old commercial, but they only started or they showed it up until very recently, for AMJ Campbell. If you remember,
Oh,
there were these movers and it was all black and white and they were moving
yeah.
these big bulky 1990s TVs
Uh-huh.
and they had images of Russ Howard on them. Russ Howard had hair in the commercials.
Whoa. I don't remember these commercials at all, but I do know AMJ Campbell. And I think it was like ingrained in my brain somewhere because actually kid you not today there was someone moving in and out of like my condo building and there was movers with AMJ Campbell boxes and then I was just like, "Oh, that sounds so familiar." Like and I'm not savvy, like I don't know all the moving companies, but AMJ Campbell is
Neither do I, but you don't remember the Russ Howard
not
commercial
at
with
all.
it was really weird. It's hard to describe. And of course, I couldn't find any of these ads that we're
Is
talking
it
about on YouTube,
it's not
but
on YouTube?
I couldn't find it. But it's
Mhm.
there's still pictures of people moving things. They're frozen, but the image on the TV they're holding is moving. And it's of Russ Howard just yelling his head off.
Yeah, okay, this is sounding somewhat familiar. I'm sure there's someone out there who's PVR'd some curling games and has this,
That's what we're looking
on their
for. All of
TV.
these, it's been way too hard to find these ads.
Yeah,
Somebody,
it's
please
because
put them on YouTube. There's too much to discuss.
it's because our demographic just does not mesh with tech savvy people. Because there's a lot of curling commercials too that are definitely aimed for the like geriatric crowd, like
Yes.
a
On
tub
that
that you
note,
can sit in, or like the chair that you install in your stairs to bring you up the stairs. Yeah,
yes.
especially on those morning draws or the afternoon draws that no one's watching
Oh, it gets even
except this
worse.
crowd.
Remember Navaj with the woman saying, my nose used to get so stuffed up, and she's got this big tank that she rams up her nose.
It's really, if you have like chronic sinus problems, those are really good.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's just
Yeah.
it's not the kind of thing that's gonna, I would imagine, bring a lot of people into curling.
No, it's true. But I do remember once I was complaining to someone about like, oh yeah, like I always have like my sinuses are always clogged and it's just really annoying. And she's like, "Oh, have you ever done like a Navage like rinse?" And I'm like, "No, but I know exactly what you're talking about."
And you weren't talking to the woman from the ad?
No, I was not. I was talking to someone not affiliated with curling whatsoever. I guess this commercial is going to go down in curling history. The Strauss family heart drops,
Where to
which we
begin?
always bring up whenever we can. And sadly, those commercials haven't been playing for quite some time. I haven't seen them in a long time.
No, it's been a long time. I've tried to find out whatever happened to Strauss heart drops, and I'm sad to tell you, I'm sure you found in your research as well, that Jim Strauss has since passed away.
Yeah, basically, it was a New Holland commercial of the time, right? It played like on every commercial slot.
There were so much variety. There were so many different ones. There was one I remember where
Hmm.
Jim Strauss was on a golf course riding this pedal powered golf car that I just looked ridiculous.
Yeah, these were really like low budget commercials, a little bit like same production quality as those infomercials pretty much.
Oh yeah, and we can't talk about Jim Strauss and the commercials without talking about the ads with Randy Furby, with the amazing acting with Randy Furby, or what was it? Jim Strauss throwing a rock. It was Randy. What do you think of my curling game? Well, Jim, I think your game needs a little bit of work. I want that
um,
ad on YouTube. That would.
yeah, we gotta find it somewhere. Are you sure you don't have a video, a cassette or something of a old
Oh,
curling game
maybe
saved
if I
somewhere?
call up my parents, maybe they have some old VHS
Mm,
things. This has to go online. This stuff needs to be archived.
yes, and you can still buy Strauss heart drops. Like it's still a product that's on the market.
Yes, and
Um,
I think I
incredibly
told you.
expensive
Yes,
though.
I think I told you this story. Well, first of all, whenever I'm in a health food store, I
Yeah.
do always keep an eye out for Strauss Heart Drops. It's kind of
Mhm.
awkward because when somebody walks down the aisles and sees me looking and they offer to help, I don't really want to ask because I have no interest in buying it. I just want to take a picture of myself holding it.
Well, they have a range of products now. It's not just heart drops. They have some now to help with the prostate
Hmm,
or colds. And there was also like a sleep one. So I guess if you're like have insomnia or something, the insomnia one is the cheapest. So there's a lot of vitamins in it, but it's basically just like melatonin.
okay, so it's not going to cure COVID.
No, exactly not. But so their other products are not cheap, but a little more in the same range as like other health stuff, like other health and vitamin products. But the hard drops, man.
So expensive.
So for a 7.6 fluid ounce bottle, $160.
Wow.
A
I know
hundred and
this, yes, because my mom actually did see them once, and she
yeah.
was about ready to buy them for me as a gag, just to be like, "Hey,
Uh-huh.
look, because I've never actually seen one of these, even whenever I'm in the store." And my mom actually did see it, and she was about to buy it until she saw the price tag.
I mean, at that price, might as well just go get a gym membership, and like exercise. You'll probably
That's
get the same benefit.
Yeah,
I
those
mean,
better
I'm
be
no
the best
doctor.
damn tasting heart drops ever. Also for that
Yeah.
price, Randy Furby did say in those ads they taste good.
Well, they have a cinnamon flavor now.
Oh,
There's the
okay.
regular flavor and the cinnamon one. And also, they do ship international. So this is a Canadian brand, but there is the international option. So all our listeners in either Croatia, Mexico, or New Zealand can purchase these.
Wow.
They also have an Instagram as well. So they're becoming a little more mainstream.
Oh my.
So I think it's time for them to get those curling commercials back.
That's right. Do you remember, this is off topic, but I was watching TV. Do you remember those ads from probably like the 90s for Philadelphia cream cheese with the angel?
Oh,
And
yes.
she's back.
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. And they did this whole she's back after 20 years something. She's training new cream
New
cheese angels.
Angels.
And I'm thinking, we need something like that for Strauss Heart Drops. They need to do a 20-year reunion.
Just don't bring Angus Stone into it.
Oh, yeah, not him. No,
Yeah,
leave
no,
him
yeah.
in wherever the hell he ended up.
It's pretty much like the main ones I have. There's definitely so in my quest for searching curling commercials on YouTube, I just searched curling commercials and got a bunch that I've never seen before. And I think a lot of them were from the US, so that's why we've never seen them. But they make absolutely no sense.
Really?
And I wonder if these kind of came out during the Olympics or something, because I don't know. They were just so random. So there's one of them I found for Office Depot. And basically, this guy is running like a convenience store. Or it seems like kind of a little cabin-y type of store. And there's a TV playing, and then there's curling playing on TV. So the cashier is like looking at it, and he's like, "Oh, what is that?" And then it cuts to a thing where like, don't you wish you had an expert sometimes to answer your questions? And then Don Barcombe, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who was the curling expert, comes and puts a curling rock on the counter. And he's like, that, sir, is curling. And then it cuts to Office Depot, come here for all of your paper needs. An expert will be there to help you. And it just Made no sense at all. And I also had to Google who Don Barcombe was, but
Yeah, I
apparently he
didn't.
was he was a famous curler from Wisconsin back in the day,
Oh,
and that
very
was it.
interesting.
Yeah, so I was
It,
like, "Oh,
it's
maybe the Canadian commercials aren't that bad."
no, but that sounds not that bad. I mean, it sounds a little cringy, but
But it just made no sense to Office Depot. It was just like,
oh, true.
"Okay,
Must
how
have
can
been
we
from
get
the
curling into
Olympics.
this?" Yeah. There was another one too from Bic, like the pen brand, and they were simulating a curling game at the Olympics, but instead of using a rock, they used like a half naked guy, like a bald guy wearing a Speedo and glasses and everything, and they used him as a rock. And I was just like, why?
That one does ring a bell. I seem to remember that one too.
I think that one came out in one of the more recent Olympics.
Yeah. The hard part for us is that, like, I think the things that are mostly ingrained are the ones that were shown on TSN during the Brier and
Mhm.
Tournament of Hearts. So, like, Strauss heart drops all the time, New Holland all the time, toilet paper, left, right,
Oh,
and
I
center.
can't.
So anything that breaks that tradition,
Mhm.
it just goes in one ear, out the other.
There's only what, 5 brands that advertise during curling, so either for Sportsnet or TSN, and it's so you just see the same 5 or 6 commercials at every slot for a whole year until the next year when they use different commercials, and it's the same thing over and over again. But I think the Scotties ones are definitely getting old.
With the woman pushing her
Campaign.
shopping cart back into the
Yeah, like, all the commercials have to do with a woman, like a mom, like a stay-at-home mom, and toilet paper, and a grocery store. Like, every commercial is just a different variation of that. I think Jennifer Jones made an appearance in one of them once.
oh, I remember that where she's like sliding through the store
Mhm.
as if she's on. Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, and now she's doing World Financial Group, which
Oh,
I'm
now
still
there's another commercial that
what I'm still not exactly sure what it is. Like, it's not a bank, right? Or is it in, like, an
I don't
investment
even
or insurance?
I don't even know. There's so many things that were insurance related that have come up as curling commercials. This is a whole other World Financial Group with her and Brent Lang, and there's oh, what else was there? Do you remember Avari? There
Avari?
was some ad that ran every commercial break. It was well, I think they only did it once, but it just World Financial Group is proud to offer Avari services. It was just one of those things that I could recite because it was
But you have no idea
ad
what it is.
nauseum, but I had no idea what it was. And there was
Oh.
one that I also, just on that note, that I was thinking, now this is really good marketing. They were saying, the rule of 72 is,
Oh, right, I remember that one.
yeah,
It
is
I
based
still don't
on
even know
different
what they're
rates of return. Let's look at a few rates of return. I have zero economic training or marketing training, as anyone listening can probably tell, but I'd like to think that let's look at a few rates of return or let's analyze the X curve is not effective TV marketing.
No, no, I think that's why it probably only lasted one cycle. And they pulled in, they're like, "Let's put some curling faces on there." Well, another one that uses, a lot of curlers is the Pinties
Oh, yes.
commercial, like, their chicken wings, and
The
they use,
recipe for success is simple. Never compromise. Those are some
and then you have
intimidating chicken wings.
And then you had the teams at the end just sitting in at a restaurant booth just eating chicken wings, and I'm like, "I've been on a curling team for many years, and not once have we ever done that."
No,
Not really realistic, and also I was like, "Do those chickens fit into their dietary plan?"
no, there's
I
no
think
way
not.
that Team Homan and Team Jacobs are downing chicken wings in between games.
Oh, I can see Team Jacobs maybe, like, they need that protein to stay
It's
buff,
true, maybe, but yeah, it didn't
to
strike me
supplement
like
the
a
shakes.
realistic depiction of what curlers are.
Exactly. I was like, replace the chicken wings with beer, and then you got a good curling commercial."
I don't remember any beer-related curling commercials.
There haven't been,
Like,
which is surprising because I mean, you can't have a curling club without beer, right?
no,
And
and
what
it's
do
a
we
little
drink
bit
after
before
every
our
game?
yeah, and it's a little bit before our time, but the Brier was sponsored by Labatt for many years, so there must be somewhere out there beer-related
Oh,
curling
hmm.
commercials.
But doesn't the word Briar, doesn't that come from some beer thing? No.
If you misspell it,
Uh,
yeah, Google that. I'm curious.
yeah, because Briar's not. Oh, the first Labatt Briar was held in Calgary in 1980.
Ah,
Let me just Google Briar. It doesn't give me much. It says briar, common name for a number of unrelated thorny plants that form thickets. Oh, it's even worse
Oh,
than beer. The McDonald Brier was started in 1927 as a national men's curling competition, which it still is. The name Brier comes from a brand of tobacco manufactured by the event's sponsor, McDonald Tobacco.
oh, I think I knew that too.
Yeah, so briar is a small shrub whose roots are used to make tobacco pipes, and the word can also refer to such a pipe. So, yeah, it has some very unhealthy origins.
Yeah, so
We
maybe we
just
can
kept the
cut
briar.
the curling some slack. They've
Yeah, so we've gone from the tobacco briar to a beer briar to now Tim
Tim
Hortons
Hortons.
briar. Was
We
there
never
any
got the
other?
Strauss Briar. I kept joking that that would be
No.
a thing one day, and it never happened.
I guess their budget, I don't think they had the same budget as some of like Labatt or Tim Hortons.
But if you and me buy a container of Strauss with all the money it's going to cost us, they'll have enough to put their name on the briar.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So let's see,
Well,
what else do we have on our list of commercials? Oh, I have one.
go for it.
Okay. Now, just for fun, I'm going to make you try to guess this
Okay.
because we're also, when we're not curling, back when we were allowed to go to bars, we also, we're not just a curling team, we have a bar trivia team.
We
I think
do
we're better at
Wikipedia.
curling than we are at trivia. But in the spirit of that, I'm going to ask you this trivia style. I'll try to play a clip from it. I don't know if this will work. This
Okay.
is an old classic commercial. See if you can name the product that it's describing.
Okay.
A hat rack. The shower. The centerpiece.
Oh, I don't remember that
You
commercial.
don't remember the Karcher commercials?
No, but I do remember Karcher, also a brand that I know of, but not really sure what they make.
They're pressure washers.
Mm.
But the ad was well, okay, I'm gonna say iconic. Of course, it isn't. But they were showing pressure washers doubling as hat racks or as centerpieces or chandeliers, and
Oh,
uh,
I don't remember that one at all.
oh, what?
I guess this is my heart's on fire.
I know. I don't know
Uh,
how.
but Karcher sponsored it was they either sponsored
It was the
the
juniors.
but either I don't know if it was the Canadian or the Worlds
It was the
or both.
Canadian juniors. I remember it was
Yeah.
the Karcher juniors
Mhm.
for a long time.
That's true.
And
Until it got replaced by this is my favorite one was the M&M Meat Shop Juniors.
yes, that
Because I
was
remember when I went, I don't know if it's still like that today, but Tim Hortons and M&M Meat Shops were the two like major sponsors. And at the hotel where everyone was staying at, there was the player lounge, and there were two full freezers of M&M products, like those frozen bowls and the meals and stuff. Are actually like for frozen meals are actually pretty good.
yeah.
I remember the mac and cheese one was a very popular dish. And after games, you would just go and like get two or three bowls, pop them in the microwave, and yeah, that we kind of fed off of that for a week.
Yeah, when I was there, or I was there as a coach, but I had access to that freezer. I took advantage. Unfortunately, they ran out very early on,
Oh no.
and I was up in my room and I had no forks or knives, so I had to eat my macaroni and cheese with a corkscrew, which was interesting.
Was that very? I don't think it was very successful.
No, I thought it would work. It did not work anywhere near as well as I thought, but you'll learn. Anyways, I'm very disappointed you don't remember Karcher
Okay,
commercials.
you
I
know what?
think those were classic.
I'm gonna go and research these
Yes.
Karcher commercials because
Although
yeah,
they
I
that
don't.
wasn't easy to find. That was taken from a commercial break from an old game. But
Oh wow. Okay, you really
yeah,
went down the rabbit hole there.
I went all out for that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, my parents own a car. Well, no, they don't. They have a Simonize, which is same thing. It's another, but they always refer to it as a Karcher. I'm Karchering the deck. I'm Karchering the pavement.
I see. So they have the dupe, the Karcher dupe.
That's it.
I see. I
I'm kind
see.
of disappointed. Like, you're curling family. We should have the
Yeah,
actual thing.
you gotta support the curling brands. However, one brand I will not support is Tim Hortons because they gotta. I don't know what they're doing,
The
but they gotta.
sponsorship opportunities are flying out the window.
I know. I am sorry, but like If you're gonna be a coffee shop, you got to make good coffee, And I think, and this is, and this is not just me being snarky. Like, this is a sentiment shared by a lot of Canadians. So
Yes, although I guess I have to give them credit. They've given a lot to curling. So
that's true. Oh, definitely. And they're definitely a staple, a Canadian staple. Like, you think Canada, you think Tim Hortons, right?
that's
It
right.
goes
And they
hand in
have
hand.
so many ads that they've run over the years, and they've been so long committing to this that I find it hard to identify an ad where I want to pick them apart.
That's true. Well, they're pretty generic ads too. Like, there's nothing.
That's true. There's nothing, a lot of them are pretty annoying and silly, but nothing that that's permanently etched in our brain, a la Heart Drops or
Well, I think because Heart Drops was just a commercial that was so out of the norm.
yeah.
And then I remember when those commercials were airing, I was just like, "What is it? Like, what's it supposed to do to improve your heart?"
Oh yeah. By the time I finally Googled it and did research, 5 years
Yeah,
later, they had stopped airing them.
it's not like regular vitamin commercials with like, "Hey, you're missing your omega threes." Like, that's
No, and I
something
mean
that you know.
this is not a nice thing to say, but I think if you're a casual viewer watching that with Randy Furby selling it, that might not be the vibe you pick up.
Well, Randy Furby, let's say he's not physically the person you want to represent
No,
curling.
and so that we don't get in any further trouble, I'm going to quote Bob Weeks of TSN, because when I was researching curling commercials or Strauss, I found he had written a blog. So he's a golf reporter on TSN, but he also does a lot of curling. And he had written some blog about the Heart Drops ads from 10 years ago. And he says, does anybody really believe that, this is not word for word, but does anybody really believe that Randy Furby uses those? Do you think he puts them in his beer?
I don't know, does he? Randy, if you're listening, please let us
Yes,
know.
I'd like to. We want to know the inside details, what it was like behind the scenes filming the Strauss ads.
For those of you who I guess weren't watching curling back in the day, Randy Furby had, yeah, he doesn't look like your stereotypical athlete.
But he had one hell of a career,
However, I think if he were a player now, I don't think he would have been as
which he
successful.
very nearly was. He only retired very recently. That's, by the
Yeah,
way, we
but
have to do an episode on that. We have to look at his breakup with Ryan Fry and how I think they nearly fought each other.
oh really? I don't know the
Yeah,
details of this.
it was harsh. We'll
Oh,
save
we should
that
have
for
brought
another
it up in
episode.
the last episode with team
It's true.
breakups.
There'll be more breakups though.
Oh yeah, we'll do part 2,
Yeah.
part 3.
I want to try one thing here.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna try another one, a sound
Okay.
effect. I'm gonna keep this short, and I don't know if it'll work, but see if you can identify just based on this one little sound bite. I'm the king of my own castle again. That's my favorite sound bite from this ad. You certainly know the ad. In fact, you've already mentioned it today.
I did?
Yeah, it's the guy riding his acorn stair lift up the.
Oh really?
That's my favorite. He looks right at the camera and he goes, "I'm the king of my own castle again." Oh, the other great line from that, I'm sorry, they never mention how expensive the thing is. But
Yeah, they're
my
really,
acorn
I
stair
think you
lift is much more affordable than moving.
that's true. Hey, at a certain age, you want to try and keep your independence as much as possible, and if this is gonna do it,
And I believe in the product. It's a good idea. It's just, again,
it's just so funny.
when we're trying to bring in potential younger
Yeah. Well, I
viewers
mean,
curling
if
on
you
TV,
watch a if you watch a NHL game or an NFL game, do you see commercials for the Acorn Stairmaster
that is the question.
or Strauss Heart Drops
Or somebody using a tank to suck out their nose.
or a bunch of guys singing "That's how I was born and raised"? Do, 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 do.
It really is unique for us. So a couple of rapid fire ones. What else do we have here? Do you remember the ones where, I think this was for a scholarship, where there were these kids talking and they had encountered something really sad? Like one kid had a parent who had died, and he's talking about the curling club. This is where I come to feel close to my.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These
And then
like
there was a
heart
kid with
emotional ones.
practicing curling in the hallways, like throwing socks down his hallways, saying, "I always liked math, and now I measure geometry in my socks," or something.
Oh well, there was
It's the
one too.
equation of something like that.
Well, there was one because it was like I think the catchphrase at the end was "curling a game of inches," and then it was all these kids who are like, "I love math, and I'm calculating the geometry and the rotations and all that stuff."
Yeah, it's the equation that defines who I am. It was something like that.
Yeah, yeah, very,
Something
like,
really cheesy.
cheesy, inspirational. Well, another one, speaking of kids, is the, like, "What do I wanna be when I grow up?" And it's like, "I wanna be a doctor. I wanna be a paleontologist. I wanna be a like, I don't know, and there's a whole bunch of kids, and obviously,
Yes.
like, they have kids from every background to satisfy, like, the diversity quota. And then at the end, there's, like, a little kid, and he's just like, "I wanna be a curler." Which is great to get, like, kids into curling, but I was also like, "Boy, that's not gonna bring you in a lot of money. You better
No.
get a side gig,
And
just
also,
in
like,
case."
you're way too young to be on the ice. Is there anybody that young in curling? The kid looks like he's 5.
I mean, I was about that size when I was 10. Like, I could barely push a little rock down the ice.
I know. So it's a bold statement when you can barely push a rock and be like, "I'm gonna be a curling champion."
Hey, when I was a kid, like, some kids girls wanna be princesses or something, it's just all about the aspiration, not, the
Yeah, it
actual
was different. It was a
reality.
different ad,
Yeah.
but it too got really annoying when we saw it 100 times.
Exactly. Same with, like, the Rocks and Rings one, the program, and it's just like, "Hurry hard!" And you have a bunch of kids that are playing with, like, little plastic brooms on a gym floor.
Oh,
And it's
yeah. I
basically just
always
shuffleboard.
and Caitlin Laws has this little awkward dance that she does in the
Yeah.
commercial, and she holds up this sign that
Oh, yeah, the sign that says, "Hurry!" or, like,
and then she
"Stop" on
turns
the
it
other
over
side.
and all the kids stop and
Yeah. I mean, it's a great program to get kids involved, but again, it was one of those commercials that you're just like, "Okay, this is, annoying."
it's true. I tried it. Fun fact, I tried Rocks and Rings as I am a teacher and one day somebody surprised me with it. They had set it up in my room and I didn't know about it and it was actually really fun. The kids loved it. I didn't
Oh,
do like the
yeah.
whole Caitlin Laws holding up a sign thing. I just said, "Here, let's shove this down and try not to make too much noise." But it was pretty fun.
Oh, okay, I have a final one. This is also, I've never seen this commercial, but this popped up during my search. And this is a commercial from 1994 for
Whoa.
the hammer. Remember
Oh,
that broom? Like, this
yes,
is before the brownie broom with the, like, chunky plastic head, and it's, like, the flat synthetic
absolutely. I love the
bottom.
hammer. I've never owned
Yeah.
one, I've never tried one, and also they're the loudest things when you're sliding.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's like down
Yeah,
the ice,
Randy Furby,
but
another,
this is one of their lines. It was like, "Don't need to worry anymore about stray hairs or straws."
oh, wow, what a great selling point. It's like, I found this at my grandparents' house many, many years ago. They had some old little curling booklet telling you the rules of the game and or how it there were instructions on how to do a proper delivery, and one of the steps was, like, lift the rock to an angle of 90 degrees above or parallel to the ice, hold your cigarette with, 2
The
fingers,
left
and
hand
yes,
while holding your broom.
yeah.
But you still see those, like, especially the older men at the clubs who, they learned by swinging the rock back.
We've got some good lifters at our and they're good with it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
keep
always
thinking if
scared
I
that
ever
they
did that, I'd drop it on my foot or break the ice or
well, that's it, like, you kinda misjudge the when swinging it back down.
yeah.
But one thing I tried, I don't know if you've tried, but, I've never been successful at using a sweeping with the straw broom.
Oh, me neither.
When it's like clack, 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 and I can't get the coordination
I
down.
can't either. I wanna try it on the ice once. I have
Mhm.
whenever I'm sweeping, like, my garage or something like that with an old bristly broom, I try to pretend it's a real old style
It's
curling broom.
it's so hard and so loud. Could you imagine if we still curled with those? Like, we wouldn't be able to hear each other. Especially now with
No.
the masks, we're not able to hear each other on top of a smacking corn broom.
We did play one tournament once where somebody showed up with one just for fun. It was a fun tournament, and I remember this, you were in the house, so you
Yeah.
didn't know, you didn't see
Oh,
it, and you just hear this whapping sound behind you.
I think we were throwing first, and I just didn't pay attention to what the other skip was holding in his hands, and, it's one of those tournaments too that you don't really watch the other rock when it's not your turn, like, I was
No,
probably
it was a
talking to
fun
someone
tournament.
else on the other sheet, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Whack, whack, 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 whack," and it startled me so much. But
Sounded
this
like
one was,
gunshots.
yeah, this wasn't a corn broom though, it was the shape of a corn broom,
Oh,
but it
right,
was
a rink rat,
yeah, the
another
synthetic one,
classic curling
'cause
broom.
I don't think you can buy a curling like a straw broom anymore. Like they stopped making them. So
Oh,
if
for
you own
sure.
one,
Yeah.
like hold on to it because it is an antique, and I'm sure in a few years it could be worth a lot of money. And I,
Oh, I know. I would buy one. I don't really want to curl with it, but I kind of want to like hang it on a wall somewhere.
but also I think if you bought one from the 70s, like once you use it, the straws are so old that they would just snap
Oh
and
yeah, they'd be falling out
yeah, yeah.
for sure.
Or you can just tape it up and use it to throw. Still better than a stabilizer. I will accept corn broom as a throwing device. Yeah, so those are all the commercials I came up with.
Yeah, there's a lot, and probably way more. Just a closing thought on all of this, I guess, if we can, is
Mhm.
there's a big movement to get, and I think it actually is. It's pretty much a done deal from my understanding that everything we watch on TV will now become eight ends at some point. Like the 10 end game has pretty much gone the way of the dinosaur. It Everything
Really?
on TV,
Even
I think, at the Briar Tournament Hearts as well. Everything I think is moving to eight ends.
we need to talk to some people because I think this is a very controversial topic. Because like I'm
Yes.
okay, like in a regular game, I'm fine with 8 ends. Even if I'm watching on TV, totally fine with 8 ends. But 10 ends, I mean, that kind of changes your strategy and your gameplay a little bit.
It does, and I think it comes from a lot of sports are asking the question of how do we speed up gameplay. I know it's a big thing in baseball, and I think curling is having the discussion as
It's about
well.
time baseball has this conversation.
I know, I admit it. I sat down to watch the
Yeah.
game last night, and it ended at 12:30 in the morning after
Mhm.
starting at 8.
Well, you know what too with curling, and this is why I kind of advocate more for the 8 ends versus 10 ends. How many games now have you watched where the first 5 ends they're just swapping rocks?
A few, however, I think that's not as common as it used to be. I think what teams have discovered is that if you want to beat Jennifer Jones or Rachel Homan, you're not going to beat them by
Mhm.
just throwing the rocks up and down. They'll go after them right away.
Yeah, and I
But
think the men's teams are moving towards that now more, like going hard right at the get-go. But there was a while I remember there was one game, it was kind of like a playoff game or even a final, and the first 3 ends were just I mean, it was 0-0 after 4.
yeah,
And you can hear in the crowd being
we'll have
like,
to
"Put up a
boring.
guard!" I know, like,
Yeah.
those games aren't fun to watch, and especially if you know you have 10 ends, and I think, like, 1, they were kinda using the strategy to learn the ice and kinda get a feel for it, and then 2, you're, like, banking time for the last ends when you're gonna need it, right? Especially because
Mhm.
some teams are not as good with time management as others.
What this all has to do with the commercials that we've been ranting about, at least as far as because I'm a traditionalist. I like the 10 end game. I'm willing to go down to 8 end games, but my argument, or when they present the argument that the game takes too long, I go, no, no, no. It's not the
Mm-mm.
game that's too long. It's the commercials.
Yeah. Well, do you know what they started doing now? I don't know if this is you're going to talk about this, is that for some of like the lead rocks or even when there's like too
Yeah,
much
they've got the
discussion,
ads on the side
yeah, they do like
and
a
a
split
split
screen
screen.
or like a corner thing. Or sometimes like if there's two kind of games going on at the same time and they go to another game for a bit, you show the two and then there's a commercial on the side. Like I can accept that. Like that's a good compromise,
I
I
don't
think.
know. I wouldn't. I mean, I
No?
don't mind that. It's not
Well,
even missing the lead rocks that bothers me. It's the fact that, or if you complain that the game takes so long, it's because you wait a couple of minutes in between every end.
that's
Let's
true.
play it the way we play our club games. We
Just
finish
go
the
next.
end, put the rocks away, get going. You can do your commercial, but
Yeah, or you know what? They can just speed it up, like because all the competition games are they're timed, right? You have what is it now? They changed. Before it was each team had 72 minutes,
yeah. Oh, yeah. The
and
whole
now it's
timing thing is.
down. Yeah, but
I
you
feel
want to
like
speed
that
it up?
changes all the time too.
Yeah, you can do like speed curling and just cut
Yeah.
it down even more. And because some teams love to talk.
And all that to say, it's that I don't think it's that the game is too slow. I think the ads are really partly to blame. And because there's only 5 major corporations that sponsor curling, we see them over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that what I'm proposing of less commercials, I know advertisers wouldn't like that, but my question to them would be, if we can recite every bit of your ad because we've seen it 13 times a day, is it still effective at trying to get us to buy your product? Would it be maybe better to limit the number of ads would they have a better lasting impression with us? I don't know. I have no training in marketing, but
Yeah, neither do I. I
it's
don't
my
know.
hypothetical question as to and excuse for why it's not it's not that the game is too
I
long.
don't
It's the ads that are too
yeah,
long.
yeah, I don't think it's too long. It can be a little boring for someone who doesn't know much about the game. And this is coming from a curler like myself, that some games I like half watch. But they tried to introduce some gimmicks into the game that just made no sense. Like everyone has to throw the rock at the same time and like stuff like that. And I
Oh,
think
yeah, I
they
remember that.
tested
That was a Continental Cup thing, I think.
yeah, I think they tested some of the stuff at the Continental Cup and it just did not work. And I was like, this is not gonna make the game better whatsoever. But I digress. This is like a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I think that's it for the curling commercials today, or the ones that we could find at least.
that's right. I hope nobody contracted sclerotinia or experienced pod shatter or
Or club
anything
root,
like
you know.
that.
No. And if so, you know where to go now.
That's right. And remember, Kelly's wrong. Always straight cut your canola. Don't
You
listen
want to
to her.
swath it. You want to swath it.
Oh, this
All
isn't
right.
over.
Until next week. Bye.